Hey everyone! So the latest housing data from Blount County is, well, it's a real puzzle. It looks like the market is heating up and cooling down at the exact same time. How is that even possible? Today, we're going to follow the clues in the numbers to figure out what's really going on.
So here's the central question, right? Is this market hitting the gas or is it slamming on the brakes? Because honestly, the data is sending some seriously mixed signals, telling two completely different stories.
And this is where things get really weird. Look at this. On the slowing down side, homes are taking twice as long to sell, and sale prices actually dipped in August. But on the heating up side, more homes have sold this year, and even more are pending sale right now. So, what gives? Let's start digging for clues.
All right, our first clue is the market's pace, or its speed, and the data here points to a very, very clear trend. Okay, before we dive into the numbers, let's just quickly define a term you're going to see: cumulative days on market, or CDOM. All it means is the total time a house has been listed for sale. So a lower number means a faster market, and a higher number, you guessed it, a slower one.
And wow, the slowdown is dramatic. We're talking about a 100% increase. The time it takes to sell a typical home has literally doubled, going from just 12 days last year to 24 days this year. That is a major shift in pace.
Next up, let's look at the absorption rate. Now, this metric tells us how many months of housing supply are on the market. Just think of it this way. If no new homes were listed starting today, how long would it take to sell every single house currently for sale? A bigger number points to a slower market.
And it's not just one number telling the story. The absorption rate is up almost 21%, and the average days on market is up 25%. Both of these are key indicators that confirm our first clue. The market has definitely slowed down.
So that brings us to our second clue in this mystery: the price disconnect. We're seeing this growing gap between what sellers are hoping to get for their homes and what buyers are actually willing to pay.
Just look at the gap on this chart. It's wild. In August, sellers were asking for over 17% more for their homes compared to last year. But at the same time, the actual sale prices went down by almost 6%. That is a huge disconnect between expectation and reality.
And the official market analysis confirms this isn't just a fluke. They noted real downward pressure on prices even while asking prices were climbing. So we've got a slower market and a price disconnect? What does it all mean?
Well, this is it. This is the moment where our two contradictory stories finally start to make sense. All the clues, the slower pace, the price gap, they all point to one surprising conclusion. We're not actually looking at one housing market in Blount County, we're looking at two.
That's right. The whole idea of a single market is kind of misleading right now. What's really happening is the market is fracturing based on price. And what's going on in one price range is the total opposite of what's happening in another.
You can see the split so clearly right here. The low end of the market, under 200 grand, is pretty much stagnant, even declining. But the mid-range, that's showing really strong growth. And then you have the luxury segment, which is seeing absolutely explosive growth. It's like a tale of three completely different markets.
First up, let's talk about that lower end, because it's pretty much vanishing before our eyes. Active listings in the most affordable brackets, they dropped by 2/3 in a single month. And the number of sales is down over 20% for the year. There are just fewer and fewer homes being listed and sold at these prices.
But then we get to the middle of the market, and this is really the engine right now. Sales in that sweet spot, from 350 up to 450, are up around 30% for the year. This is where a huge amount of the activity is, and it is incredibly strong.
And then we get to the luxury market. And you might want to hold on for this one. Sales of homes in the $900,000 range are up 220%. Yep, you heard that right. It's a smaller number of homes for sure, but that kind of growth is just off the charts.
And here is how all those puzzle pieces finally fit together. The crazy boom in the mid-range and luxury markets is what's pushing the total sales numbers up. Meanwhile, the broader market as a whole is slowing down, which is why homes are taking longer to sell. This split perfectly explains that contradiction we started with. Mystery solved.
So, okay, that's the big picture. But what does all this actually mean for you if you're thinking about buying or selling in Blount County right now?
Well, for buyers, it really means your entire experience depends on your budget. If you're shopping in that hot mid-range, get ready for some serious competition.
But if you're looking for something on the more affordable end, below $200,000, your options, unfortunately, are getting slimmer by the day.
And for sellers, the takeaways are just as important. That big gap between asking prices and selling prices tells us one thing loud and clear. Pricing your home correctly from day one is absolutely crucial. And you got to be patient. Even with all this activity, your home is probably going to sit on the market longer than it would have last year. A one-size-fits-all strategy just won't cut it right now.
So, this data paints a picture of a market splitting in 2 or even 3. But we all know that at the end of the day, all real estate is local. And that leaves one big question for you. Which of these markets is unfolding on your street?